I married Harold. I did not marry Harold and his mother.
I've tried. I tried to settle a few hours aside from my mother and a little while aside from my wife, and it won't work.
You see, every time I try to communicate with him, he has to ask his mother. I mean, I could give you a list.
He doesn't have to
long.
ask his mother. He wants to ask his mother.
A crisis can occur at any time in every family. Sometimes an outsider is needed who offers objectivity and direction through counseling. This television program recreates counseling sessions with actors portraying family members. They are guided by a licensed social worker as the crisis counselor, Thom Thompson.
Many times in school, youngsters have been nicknamed Mama's boy. Generally, this is a phase that passes. But for Harold Fisher, a bank guard in his 40s, it did not. Although he has a wife, his obsessive attachment to his mother is threatening to destroy his marriage. Recently, Harold came to see me, accompanied by his wife, Monica, and his mother, Marge. What is going on?
Monica does not seem to understand about my mother and me and our relationship and our family, and Monica has gotten it into her head to just move out, and she's been away for about 2 weeks, and I called your secretary to make an appointment in order to come see you to see if we could talk some sense into my wife's head.
Well, I can't go along with the last statement about talking sense to anybody, because I think sense comes out of people instead of gets put into them. But since you have left,
Yes.
you've been married how long?
Been married about 8.5 months. 9? 8 and a half.
And you left. I need to ask you then why. That's a drastic step to take, but something prompted that.
I left too, because if I had stayed any longer, I really think there would have been some question about my sanity. I mean, I really love Harold, and I didn't want to move out. I didn't want to. I thought maybe this would push him into some kind of action so that he could understand that this woman is trying to destroy our marriage.
No, wait a minute. My mother isn't
is
trying to
not
destroy our
true.
marriage. You just don't understand what she's all about. Like
I
you've got no
wouldn't do
understanding of
that.
family at all.
Have you been, either one of you, married before?
I haven't.
No. No, this...
When you married, was there some kind of talk about what the living arrangements would be? Did you move in recently, or?
I invited them to come and live in our home.
Oh, so actually they're living in your home?
No, not now. But they could have. We had a beautiful home, and they refused. Monica refused to move into my home, and it would have been just the perfect solution. However, now they live in an apartment that I manage the building. And I gave them a very nice apartment in my building, which any mother would have done. And Monica doesn't appreciate all the things I've done for her, and Harold, of course.
Are you aware at all of the whatever it is that caused Monica to decide to move out?
I don't know. I just don't know. I've done everything I could to make their living situation comfortable. I know what my boy likes, and I've done just what he wants with that apartment. And I think that Monica is very ungrateful.
I guess I need to hear a little bit more from you. What is happening that prompted you to move out?
It just boils down to this, the fact that I married Harold. I did not marry Harold and his mother. I mean, I could go on for hours, days, weeks about the fact that he is with her constantly. I mean, he
What is
calls
constantly?
her all the time. Well, I mean, he stops in, he stops and sees her every night when he comes home from work, before he comes home.
Before coming home?
Yes. I never know when. Harold, you have to admit, you are
only right. It's
inconsiderate.
only
You
right.
are inconsiderate.
explain the
I'm going to
situation.
finish.
That is-
My dinners
I want
are
to hear from
always
everyone.
spoiled. My dinners are always spoiled. I never know when he's
You don't have
coming
any
home.
agreement about when your husband is coming home?
He's supposed to be home right after work, but she's always got something wrong. I mean, she always has to have a little something fixed, or she has to talk about something.
Let me explain
And
how we got
then
this
he
way.
finally gets home. She's on the telephone, or she knocks at the door. I mean, she is with me constantly.
Look.
I feel like an invited guest in my own home.
Let me explain. See, like, I've lived alone for a long time, meaning I live with my mother. My father died some time ago, and I have had for some time, and I still do a job at a bank. And while I was working at the bank for about a year or so, I met Monica. She works next door. Now, Monica came back to the house, and Mother and I live in the house. It's a big house. It's a wonderful house. And it's been set up beautifully. At any rate, we were in the house, and Monica used to come in, and she got along just swell with my mother. I mean, we used to watch television.
Was that
we
true
sat,
that there
we-
was a good time between you and Mrs. Fisher?
Well, I
It
don't.
was, come on.
No,
I
I
loved
want
her.
to, but I want to know from her.
No, I would never say that it was good. I mean, she was polite to me, certainly before we got married. I mean, it was.
got along okay.
It was complete. And then after we got married, I mean, just bit by bit, she started demanding these things and pushing
You felt there
her
was a
away.
change?
Oh, a complete change, yes.
I
mean,
didn't
let's
demand
face it.
anything.
She feels that I took her baby away from him. I mean, let's face that.
I think we'd better let her say that if that's the feeling that she has. How do you feel about that? How did you support the marriage, or did you
Of
not?
course, I've always supported whatever Sonny wanted, whatever would make him happy. That's how I feel, and that's the way it is. Isn't that true?
Oh, yeah.
But you felt okay. You supported the marriage. Did you
I-
feel it was something that you could encourage and feel happy about?
I wanted him to be happy, yes.
Well, you're not quite answering my question. You wanted him to be happy, but how did you actually feel about the marriage between these two people?
Well, I thought that he could have chosen a little better, but I
Come on, Mama.
I was happy.
What do
that-
you want? I'm 40. One.
Never mind.
We ordered this sofa, and it would, I mean, I am his wife. Is it not up to me to choose the fabric? I mean, you agreed on the fabric, Harold. You liked it. We both chose colors that we liked.
Mama knows fabrics. Mama
But
knows fabrics
Harold-
better than you.
but
You had a
Harold, we
big
did-
house, you had a lot of
Harold,
sofas,
listen.
and she knows fabrics.
Of course
But
I do.
We agreed on the color. Now, we did agree on the color. We ordered it. It came. I loved it. Okay. About a month after we had that sofa, and I came home from work one night, nobody asked me. I mean, nobody said anything to me.
No
The
communication at all
no,
about it.
the whole sofa had been recovered. I hate that sofa. I don't even want to sit on it now.
Harold, I really don't.
Horrible,
I just
crummy
can't
looking,
breathe.
garish
Wait
flowers
a minute, now you're gonna
because
upset Mama.
she said my
I-
taste was no good.
That's absolutely right. She doesn't know what
I mean,
Harold likes.
how can I
And
deal with
my
things
Sonny
Mama gave
don't-
me some advice about the sofa, and I thought it was better, so I sent out
Harold,
and
you
I had
didn't
the
even
sofa
ask
recovered.
me. Why didn't you ask me? I'm your wife,
It's
Harold.
my sofa, too. I just
Well,
asked
what I
Mama,
need-
and I did it.
But
what I
why
need-
didn't you ask me?
I didn't know you wanted to know.
What has been happening in terms of how much you've tried to communicate with your husband about change?
Well,
you-
everything. I
It's
mean,
okay, now, come on, calm down.
you see, every time I try to communicate with him, he has to ask his mother. I mean, I could give you a list.
He doesn't
pages
have to
long.
ask his mother. He wants to ask his mother.
I'm just tired of being married to his mother.
And
I'm
at this
really
point,
tired of
I
it.
guess I need to know, are you leaving and do you want to stay away, or do you want to
No,
repair
I want,
things
I want
and
very
have
much,
them changed?
I want very much to try to make it work with Harold.
Tell me a little bit about why you got married from your point of view.
Well, I had settled myself into sort of a life where I really thought, you know, maybe I just probably wouldn't get married because I'm just not the kind of person. I don't like to go to bars, and I just don't like the whole party scene and all that. And I sell cosmetics in a department store, and I don't meet very many people there, at least not the kind of people that I really want to go out with. And well, Harold was the guard at the bank, and I think, well, I really sort of, I don't know, what was it, Harold, about a year? I think it was a year before he has the nerve to ask me out, wasn't it?
What did you see in him that attracted you?
Well, he's attractive. I liked his face. I liked his eyes. He has little kind of twinkly, crinkly eyes, and they
did you
look
have much of a
kind.
chance to talk about what your life would be together?
Well, we made some plans, and you know, we did know that we're sort of late in life, but we did talk about having children. And I've been reticent about bringing this up, but since this is a session, I'm just going to do it. I mean, what has happened is that it has affected our sex life. I mean, it
Come on,
has.
It hasn't affected our sex
It
life.
most certainly has. I mean, she calls every night, just when she knows that we go to bed, and that's the one quiet time that we're going to have together. And she keeps him on the phone for like an hour.
I talked to my
I mean,
mom
by
at
the
night.
time he
Anything wrong about
finishes talking to
your mother at
her,
night?
I certainly don't think that, but you stop by there, you come home, and then you're on the phone for an hour. Do I understand that right?
every night.
My mother had a heart
every
attack
night.
about a year and a half ago. And it
right.
wasn't a bad heart attack. She
Mild
had a
heart
heart
attack.
attack.
But I have
and
to
I
be
go by the
careful,
house
and
to make
Harold-
sure that she has everything that she needs. And I go by her apartment to make sure that when she's there, she has everything she needs.
What about your father? I haven't heard him brought up at all. He is deceased? or-
Yes,
Yes, he died.
about 2 years ago.
He was a good
And
father.
Harold has made a promise to my husband that he would take care of me, and he's been doing just that.
But I take care
That's
of my
not an
mother because
uncommon.
I like my mother.
That's
I
not an
love my
uncommon
mother.
promise or an uncommon motive at all. But what I'm concerned about is there's never been a time when the two of you have decided how much time and what activities will be just for you as a married couple with your mother not brought in at all, and how much time, on the other hand, you'll devote specifically to your mother. That kind of discussion has never come up?
My mother and I have talked about it.
I mean between you and your wife.
And you know, the other thing, I've got to say something about this. I mean, when we do plan something, now he spends every Sunday with her.
There's nothing wrong with spending Sunday with your mother.
And I'm completely left out.
Well,
I mean, I am not
what period of
invited
time on
along
Sunday?
because they have certain things. He says, oh, it's business, and you wouldn't understand it, and you'd be bored, and you just stay home. And then when we do have certain times that we have planned just for the two of us, then she pulls one of her fake ailment spells.
How often do I call late at night? I don't call that often. I just absolutely do not.
Well, then I think Harold should answer that question. How often, late at night? I heard what you said, Monica.
It's every night, Harold.
No, I want
You
to know
it's
from
every
Harold.
night.
You call. She calls every night. But I mean, she needs to talk to somebody. She lives alone, and she calls, and we talk for a little while.
But
and
she
then-
has other friends.
I need to talk to
She has
somebody,
other
too.
relationships. She has people that she can call at night.
If I do call every night, I don't keep you on the phone very
No,
long.
she doesn't. I talk to Mother for about, I don't know, a few minutes, sometimes 5-10 minutes, and we go to bed. And then all Monica does is talk on and on and on about Mother this and Mother that and Mama this and Mama that. And the problem is Monica. I mean, I can get along fine. I could set aside a certain amount of time for my mother, and I could set aside a certain amount of time for Monica. But the problem is Monica wants the whole thing.
Wait, let's check on that. Do you want the whole thing?
No, I don't.
If a compromise were worked out where we really got a little bit specific and said that a certain amount of time spent with his mother is legitimate and real and needed, would you go along with that?
Yes, but I don't, and I hate to say this, I don't know if Harold can do it. I don't know if
Oh,
you
come
can.
on, I can do it. I can do it. I just set aside the time and do it.
I
We have
mean,
to sit down and talk about it, though.
He's gonna want to call her, and if she calls, I mean, I just wish we could get away.
Harold, I
just
hesitate.
wish we could just get away by ourselves, and I wish to God that we could move into another building. It really, that would
what you mean.
really
Is there any
help.
reason why that can't be done?
Yes, there is a reason, because my
Because
mother
he
needs...
has to see her
need-
every night.
I need.
I mean, I just can't move out on my mother.
Of course not.
Wait, are you saying that you are in or near the same building that
She
you're
runs
in?
the apartment
I mean, I
building we
don't
live
see
in.
her in a wheelchair. I mean, the woman can walk.
And I asked you before if you supported that marriage. Wouldn't you, as a adult person with experience, as I have, wouldn't you have anticipated a little bit the conflict that is happening here?
Well, yes. I didn't ever tell Harold this because I wanted him to have what he wanted, and he seemed very happy with her. But in my innermost being, I felt that it would not work. And this is the first time that Harold struck out on his own, and you see what's happened.
But I thought you told me that you supported it, but...
Well, I did. I didn't want Harold...
You mean outwardly?
Yes, I did. And I couldn't bear that Harold shouldn't have what he wanted, and so I went along with it. But I had this feeling. I just knew it was not going to work. And that's why I tried to do all the things I've done so that it would work.
You heard me talking a while ago to Harold about Harold and Monica getting together with me and deciding what would be a realm that would be just for them.
All right, you want the truth? You really want the truth about my
I
mother?
think we all need the truth.
Okay, I'll tell you the truth about my mother. I'd bring home girls, see? And my mother would sit upstairs, and I'd bring home the girls, and we'd sit downstairs, and I'd talk to a girl. And then you'd come downstairs, wouldn't you? And you'd come right downstairs, and you'd sit there, and you'd watch. And you'd be a little bit awkward with the girls. And then you'd go out in the kitchen, and you'd do everything you were going to do out in the kitchen. Then you'd come back, and you'd just sit there, wouldn't you? And you didn't like any of the girls. You didn't like one bit of any of the girls. And you just sat there. And every single girl that I brought into that house, you chased away. First, you thought one of them should go to a psychologist. Then the other one you thought wasn't good enough for me. And then the third one you thought was something was wrong with her family. And then there was another girl who was a little strange. So you didn't like her. And you haven't liked any of the girls. And you don't like Monica. And you don't like any of the girls. And you don't like any of my friends. And you've never liked anybody.
Harold, have you ever said these things to your mother before?
I've said them a couple of times to my mother.
Have you heard them before?
I can't breathe.
You'll be able to breathe. Just relax,
You'll
and you
survive.
will be able to be okay. And if you're not okay, one of us will get you to a hospital.
At any rate, I bring the girl. You're all right, Mother. Come on, you'll be okay. I tried. I tried to bring people over to Mother, and I tried to introduce them to Mother, and I tried to say, Mother, there's a girl here, so you like the girl. Let's bring her into the family. Let's have something.
I did like her. I did try, but I told you, but I just had this
When
feeling.
have you ever liked one girl?
I liked them.
Name one.
Well, I liked Betty.
What did you like about Betty?
Well, she was very sweet, and I thought she was intelligent.
And how long ago was that?
Well, about 15 years.
And since then, how many girls have you liked?
Well,
Yes.
they just didn't seem right for you, Harold.
Harold,
Name one girl that would be right
Harold,
for
you've
me.
made your point, to me at least. Have you made it to yourself?
You tell me how I can have a family. You tell me how I can have a mother that loves me, and how I can love a mother if every time I try to bring somebody else in, every single time I try to bring somebody else in, she excludes them.
I want to answer that. I think you've got to stand on your 2 feet and say to your mother, I love you, I support you, I will care for you, but you will only be in one realm, in one part of my life, and I will only give you so much time.
And what do you think my mother would do?
What do you say she would do?
Probably disinherit me. That's what she'll probably do.
Do you know you may have to take that risk? But I doubt that.
Harold, you've got to try. I mean, I was so proud of you earlier when you stood up to your mother. I was so proud. It brought tears to my eyes.
But careful, you don't want him to exclude his mother, do you? That's one of his mother's chief fears.
No, I don't. I just want you to try. I mean...
But I'm wondering if you can agree to that as a start.
I can agree to it.
You could.
If you put a time limit on it.
How do you mean?
Well, I mean,
you'd like to find out how that's going to work.
Let's see if it works out.
That's
and if
very
it works
reasonable.
Out, fine, but if it doesn't work out, I'm not going to get bound to this promise for the rest of my life.
Very smart. A strong relationship between parent and child is something envied, admired, and even sought after. Yet sometimes the bond between a parent and child can be too close and too possessive, so much so that it threatens to destroy other relationships. Harold and his mother had formed such a closed relationship that it seemed to his wife that there was no room for her. Parents must accept the fact that other people can be important and loved by their children without taking away any love from the parent. A possessive parent such as Marge must be secure and accepting enough to allow someone else in. If not, they run the risk of driving that child away from them. The spouse also must not be threatened by a close parent-child relationship, accepting the fact that parents and their child have a special and unique relationship that's very different than that of husband and wife. I recommended to the Fishers, and you, should you feel close to this situation, to be more accepting and more secure in relationships, because through such relationships we can have health and growth and love in your family and in mine. I'm Thom Thompson.